Greetings and welcome to week 13 of COMM 110, Fundamentals of Public Speaking. We move this week into the final part of the semester, now that your second major speech, the visual aid speech, is completed. And we move on to study, and then you deliver the last kind of speaking that we're going to look at this semester, and that is, of course, persuasive speaking. We only have, including this week, we only have a couple of more weeks this semester where we actually are going to be having a chapter from the book, from the Jaffe text, where we're going to be looking at some new ideas, some new concepts, and some new principles related to persuasive speaking and persuasive reasoning in these last couple of chapters that we're going to be looking at from the textbook. And so our chapter this week is chapter 17, entitled Persuasive Speaking, and we're going to learn about some of the things that are different about persuasive speaking in relation to informative speaking. Both of your major speeches that you've done so far, the informative speech and the visual aid speech, have been informative speeches. The visual aid one that you did last week was still an informative speech, just with visual aids added in. So we're switching now to what is really a very different sort of animal with a lot of different things about it in terms of speaking, with persuasive speaking. A couple of the things that you're going to learn about this week that are different in regards to persuasive speaking is first something called a persuasive claim. When you give a persuasive speech and engage in persuasive speaking, rather than having a thesis statement or a central idea, the way that you do in informative speaking, you have what is called a persuasive claim. And there are 4 different types of persuasive claims that we're going to learn about this week. And from those 4, you will be selecting one of the types for when you do your persuasive speech here in a few more weeks. So we're going to learn about those. The other thing that we're going to learn about in Chapter 17 this week that is a little different in regards to persuasive speaking is a new set or a different set of organizational patterns that are specifically for persuasive speaking. We have several organizational patterns that we learned about a number of weeks ago that are for use in informative speaking. Spatial, chronological, topical, and these are the ones that you have had to select from in your first 2 major speeches. You're not going to be able to use any of those organizational patterns in your persuasive speech. You will have to select one of the organizational patterns from this new batch of organizational patterns that we're going to learn about in Chapter 17 this week. So the other thing, in addition to reading Chapter 17, taking the reading quiz on Chapter 17, and then 2 discussion topics in the Talking About Speaking discussion forum this week. The other thing that is very important in this week's coursework is the assignment guidelines for the persuasive speech. Even though, as I've been saying, persuasive speaking is considerably different from informative speaking, many of the guidelines for the persuasive speech are still going to be the same as for the first 2 major speeches. The research requirements are basically the same. You need to have 5 sources, at least 2 of them offline sources. Your works cited will be basically the same, using new sources, of course. And your content outline will look largely the same in terms of format as well. There are a couple of new elements that you'll have in the heading on your content outline for the persuasive speech, but for the most part that's going to be the same as well in terms of format, with of course the content, specific content for your persuasive speech. So you can watch the bonus video that I have that will give you some more detail about some of the highlights from the assignment guidelines for the persuasive speech. Of course, the other thing about the persuasive speech is that even though it's a new type of speaking, you will be selecting a topic again that is a specific topic that you have developed or spun off of your broad topic, from which you also developed the topics for the first two major speeches. So whatever that broad topic is that you've been speaking about, you will speak about something related to that broad topic again in the persuasive speech. If you have any problem thinking of a persuasive topic, a good persuasive claim with a persuasive topic to do your persuasive speech on, let me know. And I will be happy to answer questions or give you some guidance and sort of help you out in that process of developing your specific topic for your persuasive speech. So next week is going to be a little bit different. Next week is Thanksgiving week, so of course there's no classes on campus at LRSC on Thursday or Friday of next week. As a result, our course load for next week is quite a bit lighter. We will not be looking at a new chapter or have a reading quiz or discussion or any of that next week. There are just two things that you're going to need to do for the coursework next week, which I'm telling you about now because they're both going to be due by Wednesday of next week, and you'll want to at least sort of have them in your mind as you're going through this week. The first of these is that speaker critique number 3 is going to be due. And so hopefully you already have been sort of planning for that, maybe have already attended the speaking performance you're going to use for speaker critique number 3. Some of you, I think, have still got that video option, although a lot of you have used it now at this point after having the first 2 speaker critiques submitted. I will have the grades for speaker critique number 2 to you by the end of this week so that you have that feedback before you submit critique number 3 next week. Let me know if you have any questions as you're going about preparing and submitting speaker critique 3 for next week. The other thing that you're going to be doing next week is following upon the introduction to persuasive speaking that you're going to be getting in chapter 17 this week, is that you'll be doing a minor speech, the last minor speech that we'll do for the semester, and the only minor speech that we do in the second half of the semester, and that's what I call the mini persuasive speech. This is an opportunity for you to kind of take some of these concepts you're learning about this week and that you will put into practice on a broader scale or a larger scale in your major persuasive speech, to take some of those concepts and sort of get them on their feet and give a minor speech that allows you to sort of put into practice some of those. There's a link on this week's coursework for the assignment guidelines for the mini persuasive speech, so you can take a look at those as sort of a preview of next week. And with everything that you're doing for this week as well as next week and ongoing here, if you have any questions of any kind, I'm more than happy to answer questions or just visit with you about what you're doing as far as the coursework in this class. So please get in touch with me either by email or by telephone if you do have questions or would like to visit with me about anything in regards to the work for this class. So learn about persuasive speaking this week and look forward to that mini persuasive speech for next week.